Hi, I'm Shelby Williams with Plano City Council. Today's recap is actually being recorded one day after the March 16th meeting, which marked 365 days since 15 days to slow the spread. Well done, everybody. Last night's meeting was short in agenda, but we had a couple of lengthy conversations. First, in the preliminary open meeting, we had the appointment of an interim member of the Senior Advisory Board and appointment of a new chair. And then we had a fairly lengthy discussion on a House bill that's been introduced to close a loophole in Texas state law, which evidently allows a nonprofit public or a nonprofit corporation, a public facilities corporation, to own a property in its entirety to evade property taxes. I shouldn't say evade, they're just to become exempt from property taxes under state law, even though the proceeds from the rents on the property can go to a for-profit developer or management corporation. So there was a bit of a discussion about that. That ties into our sole item for individual discussion later. In the regular meeting, we had a certificate of commendation for the Plano Public Library, which was issued, was found in the top 10% of all libraries in Texas for excellence across a number of fields. So thank you for maintaining our status as the City of Excellence. Next, a certificate of appreciation for Todd Felker with the Senior Advisory Board. And the mayor read a card from a young boy, I believe I heard he was from Connecticut, was from out of state, and saw the hardship that occurred during Snowmageddon last month in Plano. Felt compelled to write a letter saying that it was snowing there too, but he had fun in it. And he saw the hardship we were having and hoped we got better. So it was really touching that this boy, 2.5 years old, and probably had help writing the actual letter, but it was really touching that he expressed these sentiments to us. So thank you very much. And then we moved into our sole item for individual consideration, which was a 4% housing tax credit for the development that was rezoned last meeting. I should say the meeting before last, because last meeting was yesterday. At K Avenue and Park. Now this ties in with this piece of legislation because K Avenue and Park was Plano Housing Authority, a nonprofit corporation, was to own 100% of the land and the improvements meaning the actual building with over 200 apartment units. But a third-party developer was going to build the project and finance it as well as get the rents. Now when I asked how much of the money was going to be going to the Plano Housing Authority, I was told there would be a split. What that split wasn't expounded upon. So I asked again last night, and I was told that I still wasn't given a number. I was told that they couldn't know that until they found an investor. Personally, I find it an odd investment proposition to say, give us money for a project and we'll tell you later how much you're going to get in return, or even what your prospects in return are going to be as a percentage of the revenue. So we had a pretty robust discussion about that. The application for the 4% housing tax credit is actually, it wasn't to us directly, it was for a resolution of no objection. They actually filed with the Texas State Board, the TDHCA, Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, I think, for a tax credit which if they apply for a 9%, that's contested, which means, or competitive, which means they compete with other properties in the area, and there can be only one, Highlander rules, kind of. But for the 4% tax credit, which is what they were going for, that's non-contested. They just have to meet certain requirements with the TDHCA, and then they can qualify. So the mechanism means that if they use at least 50% in tax-exempt bonds to finance the project, then they qualify for the 4% housing tax credit, which I understand is basically a break on their corporate income taxes. So to be straight, the property's already going to be totally exempt from property taxes. They're not going to be paying any property taxes. And then they wanted a resolution of no objection to say, well, we want this federal, we want to apply through the state for federal tax credit as well. That was something I found really hard to swallow, so I made a motion to deny, which followed some robust discussion and a little bit of confusion about what the policy which we revised last year actually says. So I revised my motion to deny and made a motion to table until next council meeting, which is next Monday. I think that's the 24th. And we're going to review the policy in the interim. And I believe, and I've expressed this before, these things should be considered holistically. And I liken it to making a decision of how big a parking lot you're going to have. And if you try to separate the consideration of the size of your parking lot from the number of vehicles you expect, then you're doing it wrong. You have to consider the two in tandem. You might make individual decisions, but those decisions are based on a holistic set of information. And from the sale of this land to the rezoning to allow the development to the tax credit, all of this pertains to the same property. And so I can't pretend that none of the other factors exist. And neither do I believe should the council. But we're going to get some more information. We're going to come back to you next Monday and we'll conclude this, and I'll update you all on everything that happened. Thank you very much, and let's please not make the next 365 days like the last 365 days. Thank you very much, and God bless.